I've shared this. I go into every opportunity, feeling like the people I'm meeting are immediate family. Like, I just like that feeling of, if I know you, I feel if you reach out to me, I'm going to help you however I can.
Welcome to Dynaway Dialogues. I'm your host, Jesse Zadanek. Glad everybody's joining today. I'm real excited because we have Bobby Small from DUG, from the user group community with us today. Bobby and I have known each other a long time, and
A long time, yeah.
Yeah. So I know there with the community Dynamics user groups, you wear a lot of hats. You're doing a lot of things. I'm reading here that you have your own podcast. You're pulling the community together in ways that are just phenomenal. I'm real excited about your event in the spring. I'm going to be there, as I'm sure the community is going to really rally around that too. But I just wanted to say welcome, and we're glad to have you, Bobby.
Yeah, man, it's good to be here. It's fun. All these podcasts popping up. Everybody's doing them. Like I said, we've known each other for at least 10 years through the community. My involvement here in Denver and your involvement at Dynaway and bringing content, from that period on. So yeah, it's fun. I mean, what I love to do is to get out in front of communities. So happy to be here.
Yeah, good. So let's start, Bobby. Your career path is pretty inspiring. I'd love to kind of give us the short version of how you got started, and then how that changed over time into what you're doing now.
Yeah. So you're right. It's been a long career, as shown by this gray that's just like, flying out now. I wanted to get all the way there. I got these black patches. I want the full gray experience at this point. Like, I'm over the in-betweens. But yeah, I've been doing this forever, life and careers. And, I've got three main stages. And the cool, I guess, turn for me was the intentional side when I really hit like a career stride. So I was in insurance for a couple years, 6 years. I was in general management for about 6-7 years. And all of that, things that propelled me were just kind of like, I didn't have a college degree out of the gate. It was just never turning down opportunity and always, being excited to do whatever it was I was doing. So that seemed to, I learned early on, wow, when I do this, I get rewarded for it. So I get raises and I get new opportunities. And so I just kept doing that. So in each of those first turns, I did that. And then at some point I decided I want to do something intentional. And that is when I turned into IT. And so that was kind of that pivot point of like, I kind of fallen into insurance. I kind of fallen into this other job, but the IT was intentional. I went to school and I wanted to do this, and with the same philosophies, but just wanted to do IT related work in whatever that was. I got my degree in development, but just, again, through life, graduated just after 9/11. So the job market was like, and so I took a job as a tech support just to kind of get in the industry at least. And then quickly, again, using those normal philosophies that I live by, just quickly pivoted that into development and other things, eventually ending up, in IT management. And I was a senior VP of IT for an apparel company, and then into partner, and then where I am now in community.
Yeah. That's so many different roles. What's kind of been your evolution as what has, how have you gravitated towards your role now, and what skills did you bring along with you that really kind of were the key factors, I think, in where you landed?
Yeah, I mean, this will shock people, but growing up, I was like the most afraid of being on stage or being in front of people.
Yeah.
Hated it. But, through, at some point you've got to release that. Like in insurance, I've got to talk to people. When I was a general manager, and before that, I was, I had a lot of opportunities. Probably the most scary thing when I look back, I ended up having to do a presentation for bottled water. I worked for Culligan, bottled water in Maryland. and I had to do this presentation in front of a group of, I think it was 40 or 50 legal secretaries to try to win their business. And it was just me in this room of folks. And I was sweating bullets, man. I did not want to do this, but I was like, I had to do it. I mean, I was the general manager. I was the person to do this.
Yeah.
And so opportunities like that got me really comfortable starting to network and starting to, be in front of people. And so as I got into IT and then learned about the community that we are a part of through Dynamics, that was about 2010. Became a leader in 2013, and that's where it really started to take off and started to click in my mind that I do like this type of activity of fostering, volunteerism and group effort leading towards one thing, being Dynamics or whatever else I was involved in. So that really took me into that side level, which I was luckily able to do at Uray when I was there, and through Ellipse when I was there, and then turning that into this opportunity, which, to be honest, I started thinking about this about the beginning of 2024 and how much I really was enjoying community. And I pinpointed to an opportunity I had to join a group of folks in Oklahoma. And this was a user group that was just starting up. They turned out they were all BC. There was no F&O, and I'm an F&O person.
Yeah.
And I was still able to help them. I had enough tertiary knowledge around the industry and around the community that I was just like, wow, I'm helping. I love this. This is like, it just opened up. It's like, I could do this for a living, and how can I do this for a living?
Right.
And so that was kind of my own turn to figure that out.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I have a similar kind of background in that I graduated engineering and a little bit introverted, but it's one of those things, sort of face your fears and to do it with a positive attitude, and good things will happen. So I love that story. For those out there listening to the podcast, they're kind of looking to broaden their own journey and share and help along the way. What advice would you give those people?
I mean, I'm going to just pop back up to what I said before. If you've got opportunity in front of you and you're starting somewhere, try not to turn it down. I mean, obviously you got to be careful of your time and energy and all these things, but if you're starting in a business and you see something, even if it seems a little out of your comfort zone, like you talked about, try to take these opportunities. I mean, it helps broaden your skill set. It helps broaden your worth in your organization. And I rarely see it go wrong. People just grow and prosper. So that's to me was like the number one like guidepost that I had. And the other thing that I've learned, and I think, people learn as you go through this, is don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
I came pretty quickly to the idea that I'm going to be me, number one. And so I'm going to try to share and showcase my uniqueness. Like you just, bring your unique. Don't be afraid of that. Like some people like bottle up, like you get an interview and they're like all stiff, and it's like, I want you to be you in the interview so I know who I'm getting into. I'm always going to be me in the interview so you know who you're getting into. And if it doesn't work, that's cool too. Like if my me is not good for you, then that's okay. It's like we might not be the perfect fit as an organization and as an employee. So I always, bring that, that interaction, and I'm never afraid to ask, and that wasn't something I knew when I was in insurance or in general management. It came much later and developed as I was working through Uray, and even more so as I moved through Ellipse. Just like I would pick as like, hey guys, I'd love to do this. What do you think? And just kind of kept shaping my career the way I wanted it to be and keeping me engaged, which is good for them too. So if you're a person that's engaged and in loving what you do, that's going to keep you engaged with your employer. And so everybody benefits. You're happy. They're happy. They're taking advantage of your unique skill set as opposed to trying to put people. I think that's when you think about sports. I love coaches that look at the team and say, what does Jesse do really well? What does Bobby do really well? Let's marry that. And let's not try to make Jesse do something he's not good at. Like, you're going to run my offense, instead of like, man, he does something really well. We should take advantage of this. So try not to be afraid to show your uniqueness and use that to your advantage.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. Okay, so you're so involved in the user community and the Microsoft ecosystem. What do you find most exciting about that? Why is that your bag? Why does that make you who you are, and what's guided you?
I've talked a lot about this recently. It feels like I bring it up sometimes, but I've had other
Hmm.
people bring it up to me too. I am, without empirical evidence, obviously, but I'm pretty certain that Dynamics, Microsoft, whatever you want to call it, has the best community
Mm.
in our industry. Like, there's no equivalent that I've seen evidence of it with SAP or with Oracle or with
Okay.
Salesforce. They have big events. Like, they may have a big like blowout event, like SAP has their big conference. And that's great. I'm sure
Yeah.
people love going there and connecting, but it's the lower level stuff that's happening on the daily.
Okay.
Local meetings, interactions like this,
Hmm.
where people just meeting and then staying in touch and being best. I mean, I know so many people that have met through the community that are best friends. They go travel together. They love,
Right.
syncing their travel schedules up. So there's
Uh-huh.
no community like this. And
Okay.
so, and within the community, what I think makes it that is that, you've been a unicorn in that you've been in one position for a while. It's more often, people bounce from an end user to an ISV to a partner to Microsoft, kind of finding their
Hmm.
way. And so what you end up with is this variety of people
Hmm.
in the community that make it this vibrant. So when you meet somebody, it's not only do they know an ISV product or what, they just have so much knowledge. And I mean, from the time I started, like I said, in 2010, thinking back to the first summit I went to, the first experience of going to an event like this, still know people I met at that event, and people I
Hmm.
met in our implementation that are still really good friends. And the willingness to help just continues to grow. So you could talk to a person, it's like you're getting helped. Again, don't be afraid to ask. These people in the community are ready to help you. So it's just, it makes it easy to be a part of.
Mm. That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask about other communities, and because I don't really know, but you're probably more plugged in there than me. But that is important that at the lower levels you can connect with people, and you can see that happening in the community. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
all the time.
that,
Like, yeah, we could have a whole podcast on stories around how
yeah.
people have been helped in the community, not just at a big event or at an event, but just through side conversation. Kristen Hosman, who's a BC MVP, just posted today about, uh, you know, a group of folks that got together to help her solve a problem that she just reached out. It's like, put the
Hmm.
flag up and people come running to help you. And I've got plenty of stories of my own that same. So
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Is it just that you know our community, the people are great, or is there some methodology or um, functionality that sort of created this community? How do you see that coming together?
I my personal opinion is it's always I think it's the local efforts that have really
Mm. Hmm.
it's the foundational piece of it, in my opinion. It just
Hmm.
keeps that, because if it's local, then you really can have that synergy. You're meeting more regularly. You're built like
Hmm.
Colorado. I feel like, yeah, our group's been together, some of us for 10 years. I've known these folks, and it feels like family. It
Hmm.
doesn't hurt that I've shared this. I go into every opportunity, feeling like the people I'm meeting are immediate family. Like, I just like that feeling of, if
Yeah.
I know you, I feel if you reach out to me, I'm going to help you however I can. And
Yeah.
so, so that local level is I think a core component that
Hmm.
maybe other communities, other in the industry, like, again, I don't have empirical evidence. I just don't see it
Yeah.
and happening as often. So I think that local level is important in
Yeah.
building up, because then I get to the larger level and we're hanging out, but we're meeting new people and they're being folded in. And like I said, we're all kind of cross traveling, and it just
Yeah.
feels like this network, again, from when I started, when you started, is just grown exponentially
Yeah. Yeah.
with this, with that core group being that solid, beacon of wanting to do this thing and be helpful.
Hmm.
And that kind of teaches the next generations coming in that this is the way
Hmm.
it happens.
Gotcha. Why don't more communities kind of do this? What's the hard blocks, nuts and bolts of making this happen? And you were part of making it happen. So how did we get here?
Yeah, I think it takes the passionate people. I mean,
Okay.
not to say that there aren't passionate people in SAP, but on a micro level, for instance, and it doesn't take much more than a few people to start it. Like, obviously, this community was started in a boardroom in 2004-ish, with 3 or 4 people getting together saying, hey, we all use Dynamics. Let's talk about it and have a cup of coffee and start it up. And then one of those people has to be or two have to be the passion points to say, hey, I really love this. I'm going to keep doing it. And I just think, it could be starting. Like, maybe there's a rising tide at Workday that's doing this. It just takes a long time to get to where we are. We're 20 plus years into this, where we've just kind of keep grabbing hands and making this mesh network happen. But it does take a start somewhere for that one or two passionate people to keep it going. What do they think? They say, there's a threshold of doing something. I heard for podcasts, it was 10. Like, once you get past 10 podcasts, you're going to keep going, perhaps, because you get over that hump of getting used to it, kind of getting your cadence. And so I think, it's like some people say, like, if you're doing a hobby or a habit, it's 6 weeks of activity or whatever. That's true and not true. You still have to you have to find a passion. You could do it for 6 weeks and hate it, and then you might still give up after 6 weeks.
Right.
But if you found a passion, and I think the people that have stuck around that have been doing this for as long as you have, myself, the Shannon Mullins of the world, all these people that are, they just love doing this. They found the passion. They found the kind of guidepost that keeps them there.
Excellent. Yeah. So let's talk one more question, kind of in the community topic. I know as your role as community strategy director at DUG, that you're involved in organizing DynamicsCon Live. Tell us a little bit about your role. What does it take to do that? What are the challenges? That's got to be a massive undertaking.
And luckily, they don't involve me in that at all. I'm not an event planner. We've got an event planner that her name is Jess. She's awesome. We've had great event planners in the past that do that heavy, crazy lifting of organizing all these thousands of people to put together an event. But I mean, as a small team at Doug, we're also all hands on deck too. So a lot of effort goes into this, not only the local stuff we do, the regional stuff, but also the large event like DynCon. And I was a little late stage this year, but what I've done in the past, for since 2014, really has been a technical advisor on the programming committees for F&O. And so I think I'll slide into that role with DynamicsCon. We've done our individual programming committees do a great job at bringing in content where I can help, I think, just really, put a shine on that is in that final stage of putting the conference sessions in a good order, making sure we've got really good continuity and flow, make sure we're not missing anything from a technical eye, like, oh, it looks like we somehow totally missed asset management. How do we do that?
Right.
We don't want to do that. We've got to make sure we're covering all the needs of what people might want from an event. So that's, I'd say a technical eye will be going forward. I'll be like that technical advisor going into the next programming committee session. I've been looking at these two, which is a little late stage, but looking at our current, just to kind of, again, put a polish on it. And then I think always back to my uniqueness, I'm bringing the vibe. I'm kind of I'm a vibe coordinator too. It's like, hey, what if we added this? What if we did this? Trying to add and keep, our special brand on this opportunity in this this event.
Yeah, I have to say the vibe and the atmosphere at your events are fantastic. They're unbelievably high energy, high motivation, and the content is excellent as well.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about your podcast, Community Dig. What for those who maybe tune into this podcast but don't tune into that podcast? What's it about? Why should we check it out? What's the vibe there?
Yeah, so I had never done a podcast before, but thought it'd be a fun thing to do. At Ellipse, I asked them again, back to my ask, like, hey, what do you guys think about doing a podcast? Do you care if I do a podcast? And they're like, yeah, that'd be fine. So I worked that out, and I connected with Savannah at Ellipse, and we decided we'd be co-hosting together because she was just starting her career and really wanted to kind of, try something like this out too. So it was kind of fun to kind of start that. No real expectation other than just to try it, right?
Yeah.
And after we did a full year, about 45 to 50 episodes over the course of that year, as a, you know me a while, I do some performance acting here locally.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Yep.
really branched out and and I like the idea of doing the podcast. And what I wanted to turn the next podcast I was doing with Doug and what they were looking for too was something community focused. Lips had a very specific, understandably specific, agenda. I mean, that's totally cool. That was built around their needs. And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be more open to an entire community and figure out what that meant. So to answer your
Mm-hmm.
question, I'm still figuring out a little bit. Like my first, I'll call it season of 10 to so episodes, I've been interviewing some friends, some new folks, trying to get people that I haven't seen kind of running the circuit necessarily, a voice. To your point, keeping it loose and not scripted, just, conversationally talking to them about whatever, wherever rabbit hole, we end up going
Yeah.
down. And
Right.
and just really introducing more, people to other people in the community. But as and also kind of finding a style too, like what is this going to be? So I'm kind of working that out still a little bit, just kind of fine tuning
Mm-hmm.
it. But also wanted to do very specific series based podcast. I decided we wanted to kind of settled on like, hey, this would be a series of 10, 4, 3, whatever number of episodes makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
on a topic too. So want to
Yeah.
provide back. I want to do some introduction, get people introduced to the community, give people opportunity like I've gotten. So like, hey, you've never been on a podcast, see if you like it, join the community, whatever. Just just kind of provide opportunity there.
Mm-hmm.
I just started a women in tech / diversity based series that I'm super excited about. That
Okay.
another passionate topic for me that I want to help propel and call attention, continue to call attention to. A lot of good folks
Mm-hmm.
doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to keep the conversation going as much as we can. So that's kind of my approach, is just to, is to find ways to engage the community, looking for other side adjacent, dig opportunities to, again, provide educational content. I've got a fun one coming out. I think it'll be an interesting twist, kind of a game show format.
Okay. Can't
Spin
wait.
on the dig, if you want to call it that. But it'll be, again,
Okay.
so I'm looking for fun ways to engage the community. Again, back to bringing my uniqueness, and any way I can that is, again, the guidelines for me are providing value if I can, giving opportunity where I can, and telling true, authentic stories.
Excellent. Wow. Yeah, I need to listen to some back episodes, but we'll work on
There's so
doing
many
that.
podcasts right now. Like the podcast world, especially in our industry, has blossomed. Like people
Yeah.
are seeing the benefit and the fun, and especially
Mm-hmm.
the people who are, getting to enjoy it. The Sam
Yeah.
Bush, just people, you see people out there like it's a podcast world right now. And
Yeah,
so
it
it's hard to
really
keep
is.
up on all of them. It's like try
Yeah.
to listen to them. I'm like, my trick, 1 time speed is, 1.25 times speed is my friend. Like,
Yes.
Jesse's going to sound a little chipmunkish, but I'll hear all the content in a little bit shorter time, and I can consume a few more, tidbits of podcast out there.
Yeah, this is off topic, but I had a boss once that said he only listened to books at 1.5 speed. He could listen to books
Yeah.
3 times, obviously 1.5 times faster or 2 times faster, and he could consume so much more material. And
Yeah.
he quoted some stat that you can understand at up to 3 times speed, but you can only read at 1 speed. So yeah,
It's
so
amazing what our brains can do that you don't
yeah,
know about that. Like I love these, again, it's like, but I think it was, Neil deGrasse Tyson had a t-shirt on somewhere. It said something about intelligence can be, but it was all, there's like 3 or 4 key letters in each word, but the rest of them were like numbers and upside
hmm
down letters, but your brain can still read it and comprehend exactly what intelligence
yeah,
inspires change, but it was all messed up, but you still had enough of a start to get what it was saying.
right, right,
To your point, I think your brain has a lot
yeah,
of capacity even at 1.5, 2 times speed.
yeah.
That's my trick.
Yeah, that's good. Well, let me ask you about Connect, because we have Dynaway Connect coming up here in April, and we're so thrilled to have you as a speaker. What can the listeners kind of expect from your session? What are you going to bring?
So I'm excited to be there. So I'm super, jazzed to be traveling April 25th. Am I right?
I thought it was 28th or 29th. I'll have to double check that.
Yeah, I please don't quote me on it. It is the end of it. I think you're right. It might be the 28th, 29th. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And 30th. Yeah, 28th through 30th. Now that I say that. So there we are.
correct. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be traveling to Greenville, South Carolina, which is awesome. I've been to South Carolina, but only on the coast side, so it'd be fun
okay.
to see a new community, and I always enjoy that. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as like the actual event, the things that I enjoy about these, especially this kind of event. I've been to one other that was like a hyper focused content event. Like, I was at an Expert Logics event. It was all about, CPQ. So about,
Mm-hmm.
that product. And so it was fun to see people just looking at one thing as opposed to a
Yeah.
broader thing. So just that energy around one subject, like asset management, especially from a technical side. Like I'm a
Yeah.
technical person. So that to me is always interesting. I love to learn still anything. So I'm always down for that. And what I hope to bring is, again, kind of a lot of what we talked about here, Jesse, is just the benefit of buying into and being a part of this community. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping to bring that. And you guys have, luckily, or who knows, man, I could bomb hard. We'll see. But you've given me a speaking position on day one to kind of get out this idea of what community can bring to a person, to an organization. And so it'll be a lot about that. I've got hoping to make it a workshop-y type feel, less of a
Mm-hmm.
lecture of like, da, 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 but
Yeah.
more of like, here's
Yeah.
the benefits and here are the key things that you can take away today. And I'm going to try to layer in a networking exercise as well to kind of break the ice early on.
Yeah.
Because how it goes to these events. When I get there, I guarantee you, organization one will be sitting at a table, organization two will be sitting at a table, and we'll
Right.
try to get these folks talking to each other early on, break
Yeah.
that ice early in a way that
Yeah.
hopefully is fun and sets a tone for them for the rest of the experience, so that they can have ability to connect, in all the ways that you should when you go to an event like this.
Mm-hmm. I know that some of our customers have used this as continuing education hours. Do they do that also at DynamicsCon Live? Is that helpful for career professionals out there?
I think it is. I think people people look for that. I said somebody asked me about this this week. They asked,
Mm-hmm.
do we provide, are there CPE or CPD credits when you go to events, regional or local, or even the largest? The problem is, and you probably know this, you have to get, if you give a session, if I give a session, my session has to be accredited by
Mm-hmm.
CPE or CPD. And so it's easier like for your organization to have these already done and ready to roll. And a person like joining an event may not, they're just creating a session on the fly. Sometimes they might be able to, like I've seen it, like
Yeah.
like a
Mm-hmm.
seasoned speaker or, somebody who's doing this, they might have this already ready to go. So they could say, hey, by the way, I also offer this credit.
Mm-hmm.
So a person's looking for that, it's not, but I think where it also is beneficial too, in my opinion, and I've heard this a lot, is for folks wanting to attend. So if you're a person out there and you're trying to build up that ROI, kind of like your beg your boss letter or whatever,
Yeah.
you want to call that, is that you get some some C-level buy-in on why you should go. It's like, cool. It's not just me getting a free trip to South Carolina to hang out
Yeah.
with some cool people and go to a baseball game. It's
Right.
more. This is real education. There's real opportunity,
Yeah.
which kind of, again, to be honest, lends back to hopefully what I bring to my conversation and why it's not just the CPE or CPD credits and that piece of it, that formal piece of it. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of benefit to broadening your reach in the network, in the community, because you never know when you might call on it. And not just as a job opportunity, but as a real live, like, holy crap, our system just blew up opportunity. But I know
Yeah.
this person over here that I met that said, reach out anytime. I'm calling him on that. Hey, you told me
Yeah. Yeah.
anytime, and we're on fire
Yeah.
over here. And I
Yeah.
mean, 10 times out of 10, people are picking up the phone. I've never had anybody turn me down on an opportunity and ask in the community. I mean, it's, it may not be the immediate, maybe, but again, if they hear your voice and you're
Mm-hmm.
screaming, like you're that dog with the fire behind you, or you're in the dumpster and it's
Yeah.
creeping over you, though, that's why I think it's important, to attend events like, like Dynaway Connect and,
Yeah.
others, because it's not just about the education. I think to your point, the CPE is just another great benefit that helps provide that ROI.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say that kind of leads me into a thought that, hey, you're a guy out there and you're thinking about attending Connect or DynamicsCon Live for that matter. Obviously, we're biased. We're putting these events on, but you know, when they're sort of hesitant to go to their boss and say, I want to go to this event. How do they sort of explain to someone there is value there? It does the ROI because it's going to cost the organization some money to travel. How do you navigate that? Where maybe take it from personal experience. How did that impact you and make your life easier?
Yeah, I mean, that, just you think about the people that are showing up. I mean, typically at events, at larger events like Dynaway CONNECT, DynCon, in Chicago, these big national events, you are getting a huge mix of people who are experts. So they're experts in their chosen field, whether it's asset management or master planning,
right,
finance, whatever. And you're layering that in with more so Microsoft MVPs, so people who are excelling at that above and beyond and getting extra access and extra. And then you've got the Microsoft people that are engaged in these communities now. Like Microsoft's made a big initiative and a big push over the last couple of years to get involved. A guy that I've known for a long time, he's local here. If you know him, Brian Rouchet, been doing this with RSM and Junction Solutions, and then with Microsoft now for the last decade or so.
Right.
Just a lot of emphasis on being in community and being ready to help. And so that's just invaluable, man. That's like free support, so
right.
So to me, that was the number one selling point. And again, back to, a live example of, I was at a stage at the apparel company where we had a major issue with our, it was actually a file system breach that we didn't know about. It was a low level virus that ruined executables. The weird thing, it didn't seem to do anything else. Like we did a full network scan afterwards, spent a lot of time and effort and money, like re-engineering our entire file system to make sure it was clean. Didn't see anything else, didn't see any other major activity, but it just basically ate every executable file, which means it ate all of our installation files for our instances at a time when 2009 support was going down. And so Microsoft they weren't able to provide us files. Our partner wasn't able to provide us files. I found them through community, through people I'd made, a connection I made in community. I just started reaching out to a few people, like in a desperation mode. Like, I need these install files. I got to get them somehow. And through a couple connections, within a couple days, I had the files back and I was rolling along. So, and then again, just the growth of personally from a career standpoint, obviously, but from an organization standpoint, it's a lot of, I mean, there is a cost, whatever that short cost is for that event, but the exponential value and gain is, it's just untold. It's hard to measure, but it's there.
Yeah. More resources are better than less resources. So
I
certainly understand that.
Yeah. The more you grow those resources, the more you're attending these events and being present at them.
And I also agree with you on the kind of the Microsoft presence. I know at Connect, there's several sessions that Microsoft's putting on, and you get sort of real-time access to that, that direct feed to the product timelines and roadmaps, and that's fantastic knowledge that you don't always get it anywhere else, or at least I find it's hard to get anywhere else.
And don't be afraid, if you're having that hurdle to getting approval to go to Dynaway CONNECT, to go to a bigger event, don't be afraid to show your plan. Like, it's like, hey, I'm going, here's my plan. And when we get back, I'm going to share all this. So, follow through with all that. So you start to build credibility. Like, oh, I didn't just send Jesse on a free trip to Chicago. Right. He came back and with some great ideas and some great, energy around ways we can implement some new stuff, or we actually, make sure you're pointing out, like, I answered 3 things that we didn't know, and I got them answered for free, and we're going to fix this issue in master planning, or
solve some problems.
Yeah, we solved some problems. So go with intention. That was the other thing that I learned quickly, is that when you go to an event, don't go to it just showing up. Plan ahead. Be ready. Ready with a plan of how you're going to attack the different education and how you're going to use it when you get back. So just that's important, to keep that credibility with your your C-suite folks who are approving your executive group. Then they'll be more apt to keep getting you to these events with less hurdle at the end.
Yeah, exactly. All right. That's fantastic information, Bobby. That kind of brings us to the end of our episode, but I do want to thank you for joining. Can't wait to see it at our event and at your event. I'm also going to be at DynamicsCon, so
Awesome, man.
So excited about that. I just want to say, if you're out there and listening to us, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know. Give us a comment, what you like, what you didn't like, and thank you for joining, Bobby. We'll see you soon, and hey, have a great day.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to seeing you out there in the industry.
Excellent. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, peace.